Hello everyone, Zelrant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to be talking a little bit more about making great parents and grandparents, but this is going to be more of a continuation and more talking about specializing your Umas specifically to the champions meetings. Now, my last one talked about making just generically good ones. How to target and get good blue sparks, how to get your good pink sparks, whether that's long, medium, mile, and all that, and then just getting as many white sparks as you can by winning as many races as you can and getting as many skills as you can, with whether it is medium, long, and all that, depending on how you're specializing them there. But now, you're going to want to start looking at getting some harder to get or rarer skills built into your loop. Now, I haven't really talked about looping Umas at this point, but that's where you basically have a generically good Uma that has a lot of what you want, and then you keep using them and looping them in until you can get a lot of their good white sparks on another Uma, and then you loop those two together to get as many of those sparks on them onto your parent Uma, and now you have a parent with grandparents that all have these generically good skills, which then you can use on your Uma that you're training to actually participate in the champions meeting, to have a high chance of getting them from inspiration, as well as then being able to use your best support cards to get as high of stats as you can, and that'll give you the best chance of winning. And what I'm meaning by getting skills into the loop, there's some that are just all over your cards. Like, if you have an MLB Kitasan Black, or not, or you're borrowing one thing you're going to see when you kind of look at it, when you look at my deck here, Kitasan Black has some good skills already built into it. So like Corner Adept, Corner Recovery, Straight Array Recovery. I mean, Straight Array Recovery gets better in the future. Corner Recovery is way more important. But some of these ones are generically good, but you're going to have very easy access to them because it's on a card that you're pretty much always using. And so those white sparks actually have less value. Now, the good thing about those white sparks is they can help you discount it so you can take more skills. But other than that, you have access to those skills. Though all these are good, there are other skills that are good that are much harder to get. And if you've been watching me do live streams, you've been seeing me test out different combinations here as I'm trying to build my new good grandparents. One of the ones that I'm recently started using, as you probably all view, is probably a really bad card. Definitely a bad card when it comes to building your PvP one. But this one right here is actually got a skill, well, two, actually maybe three, that are going to be good for not only the upcoming champions meeting, but future ones as well. So the big one right here, you got Playtime's Over, and you got Slipstream. These are both generically good. Slipstream's one where you get a slightly decreased wind resistance when falling directly behind another runner. So if you're using a pace chaser, a late surger, or that way they can take advantage of that. Playtime's Over, slightly increased velocity when followed directly by another person behind you. Really good generic. It's not tied to a specific race type. You can use this anytime. Then you have something like Steadfast here, which is a medium skill. And so this card has a lot of good skills on it. The card overall sucks. It's a guts card. So you're not going to want to use this one when you're building your PvP racer. So what do you do when you want to get something like Playtime's Over and Slipstream skills onto your Uma? That's where you're wanting to try and get the white skill spark onto them. And then you constantly use that Uma in your trainings, and hopefully you get that on inspiration. Then you can learn that on your new Uma, and then they can potentially get a white spark, and now you'll have two of them that have that white spark, and then you can do another training, and hopefully you can get another one, which will be a parent, and now you have all three of them. Your two grandparents and your parent all have the white spark for Playtime's Over, which then makes it very easy to pass it on to your racing Uma without having to use this bad card. For the time being, you're going to have to use a bad card like this to get it to work. And why I'm saying you have to use this one is right now in Global, we actually now go to the website here, which I will switch over. All right, so now I have the skill page up, and so we're going to take a look at that one example I used, Playtime's Over. So this is a skill that is a good one to get a white spark on, because look at the location you can get it. You can only get it from that crappy card or the rare equivalent. Right now, that's the only place you get it. Now, down the line, better cards will end up having it. It'll be easier to acquire that way. But for now, to be able to take advantage of this card, you either have to use this Guts card to get it learned onto your PvP one, or you need to get it through an inspiration from having that white spark on your Umas. So this is a good one that you can kind of get in your loop rotation when building your parents and grandparents to then be able to pass on to your PvP Uma. And so this is what I've been using to kind of find the ones I want to go towards. Now you have like some of the other ones that are going to be good. So like, for example, the first one, the first race is a counterclockwise. So left-handed is going to be your advantage there. So left-handed, where can you get that? This one also has rare locations. It's only on these 2 cards here, the Silent Suzuka SSR or the Silent Suzuka rare card equivalent. Now, even though it's more, or you can also get it by default on Silent Suzuka herself, and she can pass it on when she gets a White Spark. But one of the nice things on this one is it is a speed card. So left-handed is going to be easier to get on your PvP Uma because, like for me, for example, I have this SSR. I'm just going to use this SSR and pass it on, or have her learn it, have my Uma learn it through the support card versus trying to pass it on through a Spark. So this is one that I'm not going to focus heavily on. Now, if I get lucky and can get a White Spark on it, that'll be great. That'll help. But it's not 100% necessary because I have an easy way to get it. Versus Playtime's Over, which only has a Guts card, which I absolutely do not want to use when I build my PvP Uma to get it. Now, you may ask, where am I getting all these skills from? And knowing which ones I want to try and build into my parents and grandparents. And that's actually coming from another reference guide here. I know there's a ton of them. There's a ton of information. This game can get very complex when you get into the nitty-gritty on the numbers. Now, you can actually figure this stuff out yourself if you want. One of the ways being you can take champions meetings. You can go down here, go to Taurus Cup. You can see everything about Taurus Cup. The big thing being that it's Tokyo, 2,400 meters counterclockwise. You can actually go up to the race. The races here. Not races. You can go to the race tracks. You can click Tokyo. You can say, I want the 2,400 meter turf Tokyo track. And I want to see, and now you have the track here. You can see where everything's at on here. You can see where specific triggers are going to be, like the 777 meters left, meaning that energy skill, I forget the name of it, that triggers, that gives you stamina at 777. That's going to trigger right there every time, guaranteed. Or you have last spurt. You have skills that specifically you want the trigger in your last spurt, like your big velocity skills. You know that's going to be right here, the red. So you know it's going to trigger on a straightaway. So you want the straightaway big velocity, the big acceleration and velocity skills versus the corner ones, for example, potentially. So you can kind of do this and do all the math yourself if you want. But there's other people that have done it. And that's what I was kind of getting at with this reference guide here. And they kind of give you help on what you want to look for when it comes to these champions meetings. And so I'll have a link to this in the description. But so we'll go to the recommendations here. There's a lot of other information in this one as well. But I want to take a look at the specifics of the upcoming Taurus Cup. Now, this is if we follow the Japanese schedule, which is likely, but this could change. And I will let you know in a separate video if they announce, for some reason, a different champions meeting is going to be happening versus the Taurus Cup being the first one. But this is going to go over everything you need to know here. And so it has your recommendations on your teams. So these are going to be your good, as other people call them, your aces. These are going to be the ones that you want to have actually running the race. So these aren't your parents, grandparents. These are the ones that you're wanting your parents and grandparents to build into. So like if you're going to do a front runner, Mruzinski, Dawai Scarlet, Mayano Top Gun, your pace chasers. And it has a greater than. Mruzinski is greater than Taiki Shuttle, which is greater than an Oguri Cab, which is greater than Dawai Scarlet. And then it also mentions the inherits here when it comes to ultimates. What are the best ultimates to carry into there? So one of your best combos for your pace chaser, and the one that has like the good shot of winning, is going to be a pace chasing Mruzinski that has her ult plus Taiki Shuttles. And so ultimate's a little bit more tricky in that you can't infinitely pass them on by learning them like a normal skill. You have to have, that Uma has to be in that parent chain. So just know, if you want Mruzinski as a pace chaser to be your ace, to try and actually win the race, you're going to want Taiki Shuttle somewhere in that parent chain to be able to pass off her ult to her so she can trigger both of these. That's kind of discussing the ults in the inherits. It's a little bit easier since the main thing is just having that Uma be the Uma in the chain. But when it comes to the skills, they're a little bit different because you can continually pass them on because they can be learned every time. And so they have down here the skill effectiveness for the race. And so this one's where you're going to see the value of every skill in terms of the average length gain they should get. So one of the examples I gave was Playtime's Over. 0.5% chance, or 0.5 lane or length gain from that skill. Which is, I mean, every little bit helps in these. It might not seem like a lot, but if you've seen those finishes sometimes where they're neck and neck, That's a massive difference. And so that's a really good one here. And it's generic, meaning not only is it going to be good on the medium for the first one, it's going to be good on your long or your mile or any of the other ones. It's just generic. It has nothing tied to it that's specific to mediums. But you have other ones here as well. So you have like Slipstream right above it, same amount of advantage. You can go back here, go look at the skills like I just did. And I'll type in Slipstream now. Where can I get this one? This one's in multiple locations. It's going to be a little easier to get. It's on Sweep Tosho, which guess what? Is a good card to use when it comes to building your PvPer. So not as important to get that spark, because you can use Sweep Tosho to get it as one of your speed cards. But it also is on that Guts card, so you can also, while working on getting playtimes over, you can work on Slipstream as well, passing that one on through a White Spark. So nice little potential there, as well as an SR card here, a power one, and then some rares. So another good one with Sweep Tosho being there. To me, it's not as high as priority because at least it has a card that I'm actively using to make my PvPer on it. So I have a good chance of getting that one. So let's look at another one. We can look at Tail Held High here. And boom, Tail Held High. Okay, this one's got some cards here, but none of these are ones that I'm specifically using. We have Sayun Sky. I don't have this SSR. If you have this one, hey, there's a way to get it there in an SSR. Being a stamina card, this may be one you can just by default get into your build through using that as one of your stamina cards, say alongside your borrow of a Super Creek. And so you have that. You have Marvelous Sunday. This is one you can throw in there to try and get a hold of it, as well as a couple rares. Not very many locations. So if you don't have Sayun Sky like me, it might be one you're going to try and get built into your White Sparks to kind of get your parents and grandparents ready to pass them on to your PvP Uma. So big deal right there as well. But this is kind of how you can find what you want to use. And these are just a couple of the examples of the big ones. If you've been on my live streams, these are skills that have been discussed amongst me as well as some of the Japanese players there. If you actually want to come into my stream and we can talk about these, I like talking with my audience on it, on all the different skills, because this is what I'm currently working on myself. But this is how I'm finding what I'm trying to get into my parents and grandparents. And so you do that, and then you also have to make sure you're building it in a way that can pass the skills on to the Uma that you're going to use as like your ace. So the first one, for example, I'm using Mruzinski. Then who's going to be the best ones to pass on the skills to her? Well, of course, we want Taiki Shuttle's ultimate on her, as I already explained. So I want her to be at least one of my legacies. And then who can I use in Taiki Shuttle here? Who's good paired alongside Taiki Shuttle on the compatibility? Well, Oguri Cap's pretty good. And Oguri Cap's pretty easy to build. Okay, I can put Oguri Cap there. And who else here? Dawai Scarlet, pretty good as well. Boom. There's one half. Now, the focus is on getting one good parent-grandparent loop, because the other one can be your borrow. When it comes to building your PvPer, you're almost certainly going to want to borrow your second one, because we're already running low on time. The first one's probably coming up here in a couple of weeks, and so you just want to get your first chain ready to go, borrow the other one, and then you just pass them into here, and then Mruzinski's ready to go. So I know that if I can get a Dawai Scarlet and Oguri Cap with a mix of those White Sparks on them, I can pass them on the Taiki Shuttle, which then can pass, then Taiki Shuttle could hopefully have all of them, or most of them. And then them having those pass as many of them on to Mruzinski, as well as getting Taiki Shuttle's ult. And then whatever I get from the right side into her, and then build my ultimate PvPer for the Champions Meeting. And then I need to do that for 3 different Umas. Now the second one's probably going to be the easiest. I think everybody knows. I think it's kind of, it's well known that this one of them you're going to want to build is your debuffer, Nice Nature, to just annihilate stamina on the field, which is why stamina is going to be so important for this Champions Meeting, because everybody's going to be using debuffers. So you at least need your one ace, most likely your debuffer, and then after that you can have another end closer that have potential as well, which you're going to want similar skills. Just know you may want to pick up, like if you're having someone run late, a good late skill like this one, 1.5 million CC, or some other late specific skills that might work. Let's pump up some iron. And that one's a unique though that you would need to pass on. Or still, Maruzinski's is really good for that as well, so maybe pass on Maruzinski's. Because in a lot of cases, this one's not only going to be good for your main ace, but also probably good for your other Uma as well, your late and end. So that's just kind of a quick reference to it. It gets really, really complex on this. And that's why I'll say, if you want to come and join my stream or even ask questions and put it in the comments here, I can answer them to my best of my ability. And there are other players that may answer them. I've seen a lot of the people that join my live streams that are Japanese players that have answered people's questions in the comments as well. But that's kind of just some thoughts on building your generically, or I won't say more specialized for champions meetings Umas here. Now know that these are not just one-time deals. As you're building these are going to last a long time. So like, don't feel like you're doing all this work for the Taurus Cup, and then the next one's going to be a long Kaido clockwise that's got a different distance of 3,200 meters, which is going to have a completely different build that you need to do. So you're going to need completely different parents and grandparents with potentially completely different, some different skills. Yes, that is the case. You're going to have to build more parents and grandparents. It's going to be good for that as well. But these will have their values down the line because you're going to have mediums in the future. You're going to have similar races with distances here. And the skills are going to overlap in their value. That's why some of these big ones like Slipstream, Playtime's Over, Tail Held High, these generically good ones that can be done in any track and are always valuable because they always give you a little bit of boost in their distance. Those are going to be the best ones because that means those parents and grandparents can be used to loop into building your future ones as well. Because you're always going to have a better starting place. You're going to get more and better parents and grandparents that are just going to get better and better and better down the line. If you've seen anybody with parents and grandparents on the Japanese side, I've seen it where they have like 20 plus sparks on just one Uma, because at a certain point you're just passing on so many, and eventually you're just going to get lucky and pass on all of them. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I thought I'd just kind of go a little bit more in depth on the skills here for making great parents and grandparents. And yes, it can get complex. It's getting tough for me even at this point. And you're not going to be able to build a perfect Uma. That's one thing you're just going to have to learn is, especially right now, we're so early into the game, we don't have as many support cards. You haven't had time to accumulate support cards. And so while I'm showing you all these skills, I'm saying you want to get this in there, this in there, this in there. You're not going to get all of them in there. The goal is to get as much as you can on them eventually, then build your PvP Uma, get as best of stats as you can on them. I mean, it still matters that you get 1200 speed, you get as high of power as you can, you get your stamina up to these marks. Like, that's important too. Like, don't forget, not only you got to pass those on, you also got to build your PvP ones with the right stats. So it's not going to be perfect. The first one's going to definitely be rough. It's going to be rough for me. If you're free to play or even a light spender, you're probably going to be getting crushed by the whales that already maxed out all their SSRs and all that. I mean, it is what it is at this point. But this is going to be good practice for going into the future because you can actually be competitive if you put in the work and effort on these inherits. And starting off strong and getting them started now versus later is going to make your life much, much easier, as your Umas are only going to get better as you continue to work on them with inherits. But that's it for now. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.